The Euler number is a famous mathematical constant that governs expansion of waves, wave expansion, and it also governs squares and scalar waves. So light is transverse waves. So whenever you have light, you have a transverse wave, therefore you have pi, because what makes the transversality of that wave is pi, right? But what's going to make the scalar wave that goes along with it that you can't see, that's surrounding it, going along with it and forming the structure around it, or we call gravity, is the Euler number. Well, the Euler number and pi are always together. Euler is 2.718. It's a mathematical constant. It was discovered by Charles Napier and also by Isaac Newton at the same time. So the 2.718 number is what governs all expansion of waves and exponential growth. So for example, you put money in a bank, the amount of interest you get on that money is going to be directly tied to the Euler number. The maximum amount of interest you could get, even if you compound that interest every minute or every second of the day, it will max out at 2.718 against your one. You'll never be able to get more than 2.718 times your money, your original $1 put in. And this is why Jacob Bernoulli used the Euler number to calculate all interest, and it's still used today for all interest calculations at all banks everywhere, right? It's the Euler number that does it. But what people don't realize, it's actually making squares and pi is making circles, okay? And so it's forming a limit. So if there's a limit on the speed of light and on perception, speed of perception, it's also going to be the limit on exponentiation, which is the Euler number. Now, what's this got to do with anything? Well, the Euler number is, if there's a speed limit on the speed limit of the universe, then the speed limit on the speed limit, it's actually the Euler number, because it limits all wave expansion and growth. It can't go beyond that point. And that became then our speed of perception. So the Euler number is actually what defines our speed of perception. Think of it that way. That's how I see it.
You call it the Euler number?
Euler, it's spelled E-U-L-E-R. Here's an easy way to remember it. The number is 2.718 is the value. But the word oil in German, E-U-L, right, is the word for owl in German, like a bird, owl. An owl has the unique characteristic that it can spin its head 271.8 degrees.
No way.
Now, the mathematicians named it not after the owl. They named it after Leonhard Euler, who was a Swiss-German mathematician who used it in Euler's identity, right? E to the I pi plus 1 equals 0. It's supposed to be the most beautiful equation in all of mathematics. So the idea is that, wait a minute. So this means that we have this mathematical construct of a universe that is derived on our perception and a combination of our perception with our observation bias. And we call this Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, that we have our own unique light signature. That unique light signature that we think is us, who we are as individuals, is actually just part of a larger whole, and the world around you is actually your own unique experience with a repetition cycle. I showed you repetition numbers, right? How they repeat over and over again. And you have a repetition cycle because every time you use a prime number, and if prime number is your representation, then the universe around you will have a repetition cycle as well. You will have patterns in your lifetime. Those patterns is what you will call the patterns of, or repetition cycles of samsara, the life.
Like
life in the matrix. And all of it was chosen by you to experience for your highest benefit in learning to return to oneness and to realize and remember who you are.
You know, you mentioned that one of your best friends is Israeli. In Hebrew, we call what you just said tikkun. And tikkun is the word for your rectification. Pretty much, most people see it as like a negative thing, and it's not. It's the very thing that you came here and chose to experience for, like you said, your highest good, to get past those very things. So it's like every culture, every religion, every people, every nation has this in their own way, one way or another. But then it brings me to another question. This is bringing me to a lot of questions, but I'm gonna pick and choose some of those questions. if we're going there into the spiritual route now and now connecting it to everything that you're saying, what is your perception? How do you understand or define a new soul and the formation of a new soul? If all exists, how does something like that happen? What is it?
That's a good question.